Hi YouTube. I wanted to start a vlog um, because I've been watching so many vlogs and about TTC, trying to conceive, and I am trying to conceive, and I wanted to be able to have a way to connect with some of my family who live away from me during this journey, and to also get support from the community. So my name's Lonnie. I live in Fiji, where I'm working. I'm married. I've been married for about 5 years, 5.5 years, and I guess our fertility story or infertility story is that um, I was off birth control a little bit before we got married, and nothing happened. We were kind of like traveling the first year of our marriage. So, I mean, I was traveling, and so I was, we weren't kind of on a regular schedule, and so I was kind of concerned, but not really, because I just figured it was just not hitting the right days or something. And I wasn't at that point tracking anything. I didn't really get into any kind of research into what might be going on with us until probably 2 years ago. So after basically 3 years of nothing happening, not preventing, but not really super trying, I got more into researching online about what could possibly be wrong. I didn't have health insurance for a long time. I was a student, and I had a little bit of health insurance before. Probably I got married in 2008, and I had health insurance in 2007. And I actually went in before I met my husband. I went in for another issue, wondering what was going on with some of my hormones, and they did kind of a hormonal workup just with my regular doctor, not with the specialist. And she said there was some kind of hormonal imbalances, but not super anything to be worried about. And she did check. She took an ultrasound and she checked to see if I had PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndromes, and I didn't. She said I had, or the X-rays came back as, I guess normal ovaries, no cysts or anything. But I was kind of worried because, like, my periods were on the short side. They were about 3 days, 4 days tops. And my cycle was also short. It was probably every 26 days. When I first got my period, it was regular. And the older I got into my 20s, late 20s, it just became shorter. I had a lot of problems with acne. So in 2007, I just wanted to confirm that I didn't have PCOS, because I thought that might be an issue because I had a friend that had it. And so, let's see. So I'm married and nothing's happening, and it wasn't really a good time to have a baby. And I didn't have a job. I wasn't finished with school really. So, but when I did finish with school, I really started looking into, and got my first job, I started looking into what was going on. So that brings us up to 2012. I finally went to just the regular OBGYN. And she, that there are no reproductive endocrinologist specialists here where I live in Fiji. There's just OBGYN, so I'm pretty much on my own. But she immediately, my doctor, she's not my doctor anymore, but she immediately put me on Clomid, I think for 2 months. And I was kind of antsy because I was getting to be about 34. This was last year, so I was turning 34. I was 33 when I started getting kind of tested, and she put me on Clomid 2 months, nothing. And I really didn't think that I had a problem ovulating. I wasn't temping or anything until after that, but I just felt like, you know, I went along with it, but I wasn't quite sure. And so after I think 2 or 3 month cycles of medicated Clomid and nothing happened, I wanted to get a laparoscopy. And so she did a laparoscopy on me, and she found that she said both tubes were blocked. So I was pretty devastated. I knew from my past that I had had some infections, and they were treated, but probably not in time enough. And so there was a nagging feeling in the back of my head that, maybe this is why. And so the confirmation of the lap that both, the dye did not spill out into the uterus, it was a bit devastating for me. And so I kind of just decided I didn't want to really try. I didn't want to continue seeing this doctor. I just want to take time off and not worry about it. And so that's what I did. I forgot about it. We went on a vacation, 2 months, took a 2 month break, went overseas, backpacked around Europe, and then came back. And so I had the laparoscopy in October or November of last year, year before last year, 2012. So over a year ago in October, November, and then I figured I was pretty much washed up. That, if your tubes aren't open, then you have to move on to IVF, and I wasn't financially prepared to do IVF, and so I just put it out of my mind. Anyways, so come around about April of last year, 2013, I wasn't temping. I kind of temped on and off and tried to kind of like follow my cycles, but I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't even eating healthy. I was smoking when I wanted to. I was drinking when I wanted to, and eating whatever I wanted to. And it was a really stressful time at work. And I remember kind of in the middle of a month just thinking like, hey, it feels like I haven't had a period in a while. And so I go back and I had, kept track a little bit, at least my starting dates of my period. So I went back and I looked and I was like, I'm 5 days late. And I'm never, late, ever. I'm just never, ever, ever late. I just always come, day 26 or day 27. My period's there. And so it wasn't there. And so I took a pregnancy test and it came out bright positive. And I was just shocked. I was in utter shock. And my husband was shocked. We were just like really stunned. We were almost stumped. And so, we had kind of like, it was just kind of dawning on us like, oh, well, maybe the laparoscopy opened up the tubes or something, something happened that shifted. And so we were really excited for about 3 days, and then I started spotting, and I miscarried probably, I think it was about 5 weeks, almost 5 weeks along I miscarried. So it was an early miscarriage, and I hadn't been seeing the doctor, and I went back to her when when I started bleeding. I called the day I started bleeding and got in there, and she said, I told her I took a pregnancy test and it was positive, and she said, oh, congratulations. I said, no, actually, I'm bleeding right now. And she said, oh, well, a lot of women bleed, and you never know. So I took my bloods, and the second, 48 hours later, the HCG levels had dropped, by 1,000, something like that. And so I knew it was not a viable pregnancy at that point, and it was devastating. It was devastating, first of all, because it was a shock, because I had just been told 5 months earlier